When it comes to editing your data within a cell or a range of cells, there are many ways you can do it, and we already covered a few of those ways in an earlier training video. Here I'm going to go ahead and start with the basics and then expand upon them more. First of all, if you want to go ahead and clear the contents within a cell, select the cell, and you can do it one of two ways. You can either hit the delete key on the keyboard, and it removes it. Of course, if I made the mistake and I want to undo that, instead of trying to remember and retype it in, come up here on the Quick Access toolbar, and when you hover over the arrow, the first one, it's the undo button. And next to, and you can see that little pop-up down below, says undo, and then it's got the action that it will undo. It's going to be the clear action. You also have the shortcut key, Control Z. You can use that instead of clicking on the undo button. So if I just do Control, hold that down, hit the letter Z on the keyboard, it'll undo what I just did. Now if I want to redo what I just undid, next to that you have the redo arrow, so it can go ahead and redo the clear action. Of course, I don't want to do that. I'll undo it and bring it back. The other way that you can go ahead and clear the contents of the cell, not just the contents, but other things like formatting, comments, hyperlinks, when we cover those in a later training video. You can come up here on the Home tab in the Editing group, click on that little Erasers drop-down arrow. You've got a list of all the clearing options. You can clear formats, contents, comments, hyperlinks, or clear them all. So if I go ahead and I say clear the contents, well, it's just like hitting the delete key. Let me go ahead and undo that. In fact, let me go ahead and click and drag and select this range here, and let's apply some formatting so I can show you the clearing on another level. Let's go ahead and come up here in the font group, click on B for bold, I for italics, U for underline. Let me go ahead and click on the paint buckets drop down arrow, the fill color here, and give it a pretty color to fill in those cells within the range of, well, with orange. And if I come back over here and click on the Erasers drop down arrow, I can clear the formats if they annoy me without touching the contents. Okay, hit undo, or I can hit the delete key on the keyboard and it will leave the formatting. Let me hit undo, or click on the drop down arrow and clear the contents. Again, it still leaves the formatting. Let me go ahead and undo. And so you can see when you click on that and you clear all, it gets rid of everything. So you have two options. You have the delete key, it just deletes the contents, or if you want to delete more than the contents, the formatting, hyperlinks, comments, or clear everything, that not only includes the contents but the formatting, you have your little white eraser drop down arrow here. Now I can come back here and click undo several times if I'd like, but that undo button is only available in this current session. For example, if I go ahead, let me click save, and I close out of this workbook, I'm going to click on the inner X. Because the outer X closes out of the whole program, so let me click on the inner X. And then to bring that workbook back up, I can either come down here if I have Windows 7 and right-click on the corresponding button to the program, and there's my top 5 recent workbooks, and here's the one that I just recently had open. Click on that to open it up, or let me go ahead and close out. You can also click on the File tab if you don't have Windows 7, and then go down to Recent, and there's the recent workbook. Click on that, pulls it back up. Now, you can see that I don't have the undo button. It was only available in that session. And you can click undo, well, quite a few times. You can make like, I don't know, 20, 30 mistakes. I really haven't tested how many mistakes you can make and undo. In any case, it's no longer available because I have a new session. I open this workbook up. And you don't want to keep your workbook open constantly. I guess you may want to shut down your computer from time to time or refresh it. In any case, if I want to go ahead and bring this back to the way it was originally, like I said, I can clear the formatting. If I want to click on that drop-down arrow and clear formats, it'll work. Or you can go ahead and deselect these buttons here. I'm going to go ahead and click the drop-down arrow, clear the formats, and I'm back to the way I originally had it. Now I have the undo button available because I'm in a new session, so I can go ahead and undo all the clears and bring it back to the original format, but no, I don't want to do that. Here's the other thing about the undo and redo. You see those little drop-down arrows next to it? I have to hit redo several times to redo the clearing of the formats. I have to keep clicking on it till it clears out. Instead of doing that, let me go ahead and click undo several times. You can click on the drop-down arrow, and instead of clicking once for italics, just go ahead and move all the way down, and in a single click, you can go ahead and redo all 4 actions without having to click on this 4 times. Go back, come all the way down here, click on it, boom. It'll go ahead and redo all those actions that we wanted to do to clear the formatting here. By the same token, click on the undo's drop-down arrow and put everything back to the way it was by going all the way down and not having to click undo several times. So let me go back to clearing that out. Now to edit the contents of a cell, it's really simple. Just go ahead and select the cell, and you can either type over it, for example 135, hit enter, or double click on it to get the cursor flashing within the cell, and then you can use your right or left arrow keys to move the cursor around, or you can hover over the cell. You see that I've got a little line there. It's called the I-beam. You can click anywhere to move your cursor around therein. Click at the end, type in point 115, go ahead and hit enter to accept it. If I double click on it and I delete it, if I don't want to accept the change and my cursor is still flashing within the cell, hit the escape key on the keyboard and you'll escape back out and Excel won't accept the change. Not only can you edit the cell or the contents therein down here in the cell by double clicking on it, you can also come up here in the formula bar. And the formula bar actually not only views the formula up here in the cell, but if there's no formula, it'll actually show you the copy of the value that you have down here. You can still edit it. You can come up here and hit the backspace key. It deletes what's behind the flashing cursor, and you can hit the delete key to delete what's in front of the flashing cursor. Let me hit the escape key to back out of that and not accept the change. 3 more little tidbits that you may find useful. First of all, let me come up here and click in cell A1. Double click to get within the cell. And let's say that essential oils is a trademark, copyright, or you want to use one of those symbols. Go ahead and place the cursor where you want to insert the symbol. Come up here, click on the Insert tab, go over to the Symbols group, click on Symbol. You have a list of fonts here that you can select to choose from the numbers or symbols that you want to insert by scrolling through them here. Of course, down here I have recently used symbols. One of them is trademark. Go ahead and select it, click on Insert, or just double click on it and it'll add it. Let me close out. Another shortcut if you want to edit the contents of a cell in this manner. For example, I want to delete essential and leave oils there, or just delete essential or type over essential, so it's my oils. Once you double click to get inside the cell, double click again on the word and it selects the whole word. Double click on essential, selects the whole word essential. Double click on oils, selects the whole word, well, including the trademark. So double click on essential, I can type in type over it. It's a quick way, double clicking, to select the whole word without having to, let me hit the escape key, double clicking and then coming over here, clicking and dragging, just double clicking, you've got it selected right there. Hit the escape key. One last shortcut that I'll show you that may be helpful, not as far as editing the contents of a cell or range, but when it comes to moving around to one part of the workbook to another. For example, as I mentioned in an earlier training video, no matter what cell you're in part of the workbook, if you want to get back to cell A1, hold down the Control key and hit the Home key. It takes you right back to cell A1. Well, if you're in any part of the database and you want to get to the top of the database or this column, or to the far left of this row, or the far right or the bottom, just hover over any one of these 4 borders of the cell that you currently have selected. So if I want to zip to the top, hover over the top border of the selected cell until you get the 4-way arrow. Double click really fast and it will take you to the top of that column. Double click to the left really fast, takes you to the far left of that row, to the right to the far right, and then to the bottom of the column. Double click on the bottom border, takes us to the bottom. Which is no big deal because this database is pretty small, but you can imagine if you got hundreds of employees, you want to get to the bottom real quick. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.